Hi, good morning. We're going to be looking at a little bit of Sindy crochet there for you. It's getting a little bit chilly around here, so I thought the girls needed something a little bit warmer. So my model here is my Molly. Now, Molly was the first one that I got when I got back into collecting Sindys. You think I'd have called her Sindy, but you know, I got rid of all my Sindys when I was younger. Well, I think it's how it went, wasn't it? You grew up, the toys went, and then later you find out they could have been worth a fortune. But never mind, never mind. I started collecting as an adult, and this little girl was the first one I got. I know her hat and scarf doesn't really go with what she's got on. That's because she's had this Christmassy item on. But I've just popped to the hat and the scarf, which is what we're going to be doing today. It is so simple, so quick. Beginner definitely could have a good go at it. It won't take you long to make, and you make it in so many different colours and shapes. So if you've got loads of dolls, it's a great way to make lots of nice wintry outfits. Now this one that you can't really see it on there, you'll see it when it's top down, but it's got a slight glitter to it as well. So this is what we're going to do today. So I will see you in a minute top down so we can actually get to go and start on this little project. So I will see you in a moment. Well, let's get going with our little project here. I'm going to take it off the doll now so we can have a proper look at it. She can pop her Christmas wear on again. It's a very simple little hat. In fact, I think I'd put it on her head inside out. That's the right way around. Beauty of crochet sometimes, though, you can't always tell, especially if it's a pattern where you're turning backwards and forwards or you go in spirals. Sometimes you do get away with it. I crocheted inside out for so long when I first started crocheting because there was no YouTube to tell me otherwise. But it didn't look that bad. I just wondered why my work was a little bit more textured than everybody else's, but it still looked okay. So I don't know whether you can see the spot. Oh, you can. You can just see there's a little tiny sparkle in there. Now, this is sort of granny square-esque how it starts. So that's why I say it's quite a simple project to do. And then this is the scarf. Now, this is the length I did it because I wanted a longer scarf, but you could play with it and sort of get a shorter one. But obviously the measurement numbers I'm giving you are designed for this one, so you'd have to have a little play about with your numbers there. Now, this is the yarn I'm using. It is a double knit yarn, so you could do it in any double knit yarn. But the hook I'm using is a little bit smaller than you'd normally use for a double knit. It is a 3. Let me just see if you can actually see that. Let me put it there. It is a 3mm crochet hook anyway. Got my scissors because I need some scissors, got my needles, got this thread. That's just to sew this on. Now I used a little bead. You can see this little bead here. Now you can use a button, you can use whatever you want, but I just thought that pearl bead looks quite nice. And if you actually sort of do stitch it on nice and tight, it holds very close like a button would. So you can use beads as well. I do use beads quite often in my work. So we don't need these just yet. So we're going to move that to one side. We don't really need the scissors just now, so I'll just pop them there. But we do need the yarn. And again, you can just see the sparkle in this yarn. I don't know what brand this is. That's the only thing, so please don't ask because I don't know. I have a tendency to get wool and then I start with it and I make one thing and then I lose the labels. Can't even find the end of this one. That's not a good start, isn't it? Where's the end? It's there somewhere. There it is. Right, so I've got a lot of it undone now, but as you see, it's really, for a double knit, it's actually quite fine. But I have been doing this in something else, and that is a double knit. I've been doing it in the same pattern. Sometimes it can come down to your tension. As much as I might say use double knit, use 4-ply, sometimes you can get away with using a thicker yarn if you're using a smaller hook, and vice versa. But if you're using a finer yarn with a larger hook, you'll get a lacier effect. It is very easy to manipulate crochet. So if you don't have the yarns that I mentioned, have a go with another one. There's no reason why not. I'm just having a look what I have near me. I have some different wools. I'm doing all sorts of little bits of projects. My craft room is such a mess at the moment. Right, this is the nearest that I know is 100% double knit. So you can see it is towards a double knit. But then we can also bring a 4-ply in. You can see I'm using a lot of red. And there's not a huge amount of difference there either. To be honest, there isn't a lot between them. It does really come down to the hook size quite often more than anything else. But this is one I'm using. This is what I'm classing as a double knit yarn. And as I say, you can play about with it however you want. If you use a very fine yarn, because I am using one for another one, to make a little tiny weeny hat, you can do. Or you could use a chunky to make a larger hat, depending on what doll you've got. So I'm just pushing my sleeves up to get going, and we will start with the hat first. Now again, if you're familiar with a granny square, this is going to be so easy. Must point out UK terms. I've got to make sure I write this on all my patterns. It's not on some of them. And I must sort of sort that out, because I know a couple of people recently have asked me. Yes, they are UK terms, so if you're not used to UK terms, you may require a conversion chart, or you might be used to it. I know I sort of started on American patterns, actually, again purely by mistakes. As I mentioned, I didn't really I couldn't YouTube when I started, and I can't even remember. I think I downloaded some patterns. I don't even know where I got them from, to be honest, but yes, I started on one style, so then I had to convert back over to the UK terms, which is what, obviously I'm in the UK, so I will do UK terms for everybody, but there's not that much difference. It's really not that difficult to get it, but sometimes it's worth just marking through your work. If you've got a written pattern and it is one that you're not used to for your country, just mark off, because you will forget and you will convert back to your style. Right, we're starting with a slip knot here onto my hook, and we're going to start with 5 chain. So nice and steady. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now we want to turn this into a little loop, so we're going to go into slip stitch into our first chain, grab our yarn through and grab our yarn through, so it's a slip stitch. Tighten up that bit, because otherwise you'll be tempted to go in that, and make sure you know where the hole is, because it's very easy to go into a stitch instead of a hole to start with, but it will get easier as we go. We're going to do 3 chain. That's our first treble. I know it's a chain, but we're counting it as our first treble. Yarn round, and we're going to go into the hole in the middle, not a stitch, right into the hole, and we're going to do a treble. We're going to do that again, yarn round into the hole, and we're going to do a treble. So we have our first equivalent set of 3 trebles. We're going to do 2 chain. You're going to go back into the hole, and you're going to do 3 trebles again. So we have 1, 2 and 3. 2 chain, 3 trebles. 1, 2 and 3. So we'll just have a quick stop and have a look what we've got. So you have, I know we're counting that 3 chain, remember, so I'm saying that's 3 treble. 3 treble, 2 chain, 3 treble, 2 chain, 3 treble. We need one more set, so we have 2 chain and 3 treble. As I say, it starts just like a granny square. So that's our 3 treble. Now I'm not going to do a 2 chain here. I know some people do, and then they sort of slip stitch to the next one. I don't work with my granny squares like that, so I hope this is going to make sense. I'm just going to go in the top of that 3 chain. So I'm just going to push my hook in, and I'm going to do a slip stitch. So I've just joined it, which makes this all look very close. And you're thinking, oh, well, I haven't got a space there now. All you need to do is make sure you've got 3 on that side and 3 on that side, and go in between. So if I just sort of separate that a little bit, it'll be in there. And again, it doesn't look like a space like the rest, but because where you do the stitches now, it makes that space. So if I'd done a sort of a wider space, it would end up looking bigger than the rest, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do 3 chain, which counts as a treble, and into that space there where we pull it apart, I'm going to do 2 more trebles first, 1 and 2. So that is, oh, it's not a set of 3, goes like it's dropped off. There we go, set of 3. Now I want to make these into corners, so I want 2 chain and another 3 trebles into exactly the same space. Again, if you're used to granny squares, I'm probably sort of telling you things you know, but I do have beginners as well, so I do like to make sure I try and give as much information as possible. So that is my first corner. Now I'm just going to literally jump to this next corner, and I'm going to do 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles into here, so it makes another corner. So 3 trebles, my first 3, 2 chain, which lets me know it's a corner, and then another 3 trebles back into that space. 1, 2 and 3. We're going to jump to the next one, 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles. So 1, 2 and 3, 2 chain, 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3. So at the moment we've got 3 corners, so we need 1 more. So just jump straight into it with 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, 2 chain and 3 more trebles, 1, 2 and 3. Now we come to a join again, but this time see there's a wider gap there, so I can just get away with doing that slip stitch. So I'm going to slip stitch and join, so you can see the hole now. Now obviously we need to sort of bring the shape round a bit, because if we carry on like that we're just going to end up with a massive square. So we're sort of here at the moment, and now we're going to change so that there's not going to be any corners at all. There was only 1 set of corners in this pattern, and now we're going to just do 3 trebles in every single space, and that brings the hat down. Now if you're thinking of making for a Barbie, this is going to be too big at this point. Now you could, I've not actually tried it yet because my Barbies do sometimes, I go for a hat for the Barbies. You could maybe just do 2 trebles in each one, play with it, see what happens. If you manage that, please let me know. So I'm going to start with my 3 chain, because every round is going to start with 3 chain, and it always I was going to say pretends, it always counts as our first treble. So I need to do 2 more trebles in that space below. 1 and 2. So that's just 3. The next one, if it was a square, we'd go into a corner, do it as a corner, but we're not going to. We're just going to do our 3 trebles in there. Feels a bit weird, I know, but it will make sense. 1, 2 and 3. Or not. 3. There you go. The next one is what I would count as a side anyway, which you would only do 3, but we're going to do 3. So that's just like a normal side on a granny square. So 3 trebles. These are all trebles now. See, it's already curling, can you see? The next one, which was our previous corner, again, just 3 trebles. Next hole, just 3 trebles. They're all 3 trebles in every single space. That's why I say it's quite simple. As soon as you get going, you go, oh, is that it? Corner one was, but now it's just 3 trebles. 1, 2 and 3. We're back to our join time. Are we not? No, we're not. What am I on about? I've got 2 more to do yet. Oh dear, I'm looking because that's sticking out, thinking, oh, I'm there, but I'm not. Right, 3 trebles in the next one. It's sometimes because I'm sort of viewing partially through the camera and partially at my hands. It sort of disorientates you sometimes, right? That's my excuse anyway. Corner, but we're just doing 3 trebles. 1, 2 and 3. Now we can join. You see how it's all curled up nicely. So we're going to do a slip stitch join into the top of that first 3 chain. And now we don't want it that way around. We need to push it all out. And you can see we have the base for our little hat now. So we're now going to be carrying on that same system. So in every single space, it is just going to be 3 trebles. I'm just checking how many I actually did then. Granny square round, we need 3 more rounds. And I've just written 3 with my left hand and written it back to front. That's weird. Right, basically, keep trying it on your doll because they've all got different sort of hair as well. So sometimes it is difficult. I mean, Molly's hair is quite short. But basically, I have 1, 2 and 3 more rounds to go of just 3 trebles in each space. So that is what I'm going to do, but I would recommend you do try your doll. In fact, I'm going to grab, I'm just looking up there is some Barbies. I'm trying not to knock my table at the same time because I do have a tendency to knock it and then we all get dizzy. Right, I have 2 different types of Barbies up here, so that would be interesting to see what their head shapes are. I've got a curvy and I've got one that is actually the Japanese version. She's not actually Barbie, she's one of Barbie's friends. So here is one, just out of curiosity. Obviously, if we pop that on her head, it would be big, but it could make a nice sort of slouch. It's quite a cool slouch beanie on her, so that would actually work. And here is my gorgeous, gorgeous curvy girl, one of my favourites. And because her hair is like it is, and I do think the faces are slightly larger, I don't know why. I know it's still the same sort of thing. But yeah, actually that looks quite cool. I like that. So I might have to take a picture of her as well. And we can say this could be a Sindy or a Barbie hat. Obviously it's fitting as a tight beanie for Sindy, but it's sort of fitting as a sort of loose slouch. And obviously the scarf is there. So I'm going to have to take a picture of her as well. So we're going to say this is a Barbie and a Sindy hat scarf set, even though that's not what I'd originally thought. I just thought of Sindy. So off we go. We have 3 more rounds, don't we? 1, 2 and 3, because we always start with 3 chain, 2 trebles in the space. So it gives us our 3. Now just 3 in each one. I'm just going to sort of plod along here. If you wish to pause me and sort of have a look at what you're working on, or you want to pause me and go faster and then come back to me when I'm ready for the next bit, by all means. I mean, there's always lots of different ways on YouTube for you to either speed up, slow down, pause. I think that's what's great about it, because you don't have to keep up with me. You can sort of work at your own pace, because I know I've got some people who say they do work with me. I have some people who say they, it's a little bit fast, so they have to slow it down. Unfortunately, we're all different, so it's very difficult to gauge how to sort of get a good speed for everybody. So that's why I've decided when I do crochet now, I just sort of plod along at an approximate speed that I normally work at, just enough so you can see what I'm doing. And as I say, you can stop, start or pause, or however works for you. Right, with 3 in each of these spaces. The spaces are really easy to see now, again, because it is like a granny square. We have 1 more. 1, 2, there's a bit of fluff there, I'm going to move it. And 3. And we are slip stitch join into the top of the 3. So that was our first round, so I will mark that down. I'm going to do 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, and 2 trebles into the base. And off we go all the way around again with just our 3 trebles in each one. Barbie looked quite cute in that heart, didn't she? I should have got it on. I'm going to have to take it. I think it looks better on curvy than the other one. I think it's because she's got a gorgeous sort of red hair as well, so it matches. Well, matches. Obviously the hat's not red, but you know what I mean. It sort of suits her a little bit better. So I think she's going to have to be the one in the photo shoot. Although she is in her fitness gear at the moment, so it doesn't really go with it, but we'll just do a little headshot of her. Round we go. Two more to do, and then we round again. And then there's just 1 more round. If you wanted to make it really slouchy, you would just keep going. You'd do a few more rounds, keep trying it on your doll, see how it fits. And again though, the heart really, it doesn't matter. I don't know about how Action Man, I've got to stop thinking about this. I sit here doing this and I'm like, oh, what doll it would actually fit as well. I'm like looking around the room. It would probably fit in the Monster Highs quite nicely, because their heads up, I think, between Sindy and Barbie, somewhere around there. Some of the guy dolls, it would definitely fit. It's just a case of sort of, again, depends on your tension. So slip stitch join. And we will do our final round of this one. So 1, 2 and 3, and 2 trebles into the base. And off we go again with 3 trebles in every single space. I must admit, I do have a bit of a butterfly brain in that respect. I'm sort of doing one thing, and while I'm doing it, I imagine how it would work for something else, or I'm looking around the room. I do sometimes need to concentrate. I'm sure as a child, if people were sort of diagnosing at the time, which we didn't really do in my time. I'm sure they would have said I was a little bit ADHD or something like that, because I just, even as an adult, I'm all over the place. I do believe, though, creative people do have a tendency to be like that. People who like to make or draw or paint or DIY, or it's just your brain's really working on what project's next, what project's next. It's imagination. That's a good thing. I would miss it if I didn't have my imagination. Right, we are round and we are slip stitching. We're going to do one chain because we're now moving on to just double crochets, and we're going to do a double crochet in each of these. Now, I sort of skip, when it's a space, I just sort of go into the hole. You can go into the stitch. So I'm only going to go 1, 2, hole, 1, 2, hole. If you want to go into every stitch, that is fine too. I just think if you where you go in the hole, which I'll show you in a second. So I do 1, 2 into the hole. I just think it creates a little bit more definition around that area, but it doesn't really make a huge difference. It's just a personal choice. So basically, I will say, if it was on a pattern, I would say 1 double crochet into each stitch. But wherever there's a hole, I have a tendency to go in it like that. But that's up to you. You don't have to do that. One, 2, and space for me, but stitch for you if you want. Oh, a little split then. It's done well. I do find quite often, you know, yarns with filaments in do have a tendency to split. But this has behaved really well up to now. I nearly got one then, but otherwise it's behaved really, really well. Nearly there. Look how quick that was. That was super quick. Right, we are round, and I'm just going to do a double crochet into that first stitch. We need another double crochet round. Now, I put my stitch marker away thinking I don't need a stitch marker. I could have probably, oh hang on, I've got one. I have my little gnome here, isn't he so cute? He was made by a friend of ours at So Unique. I think he's so cute, look at him. Actually, his little beard sort of grey goes with sort of the hat here. Now, you don't have to. If you were counting or you got a bit of peace and quiet, you can just do your double crochet round here. And again, perhaps if you were wanting to do more of a slouch, you could take it a little bit longer or something like that. This is a basic hat that I've done in quite a few sort of sizes. So it is one that you might recognise. The scarf I haven't done though, so that's something a little bit different. The scarf also, maybe it would, I was just thinking it to be a little bit thin for a larger doll, but it would do okay for sort of your Blythes. Slightly larger as well. I'm just thinking it'd be a little bit slim for a smart doll, but it depends what sort of scarf she's wanting. Sometimes it can just be something to dress up an item rather than to keep you warm. But obviously you would probably at least doubling the size that I do on this. Right, we're round already, so slip, stitch and scissors in play. Right, so that is our hat. So we have a hat. We now need a little scarf. Now for the scarf, I started, let me just move those out of the way, move your hair as well, missus. We started with 60 chain, so there's quite a few chain here to count. So again, if you want to pause me while you count your 60 chain, but I will comment, don't make the chain too tight, because you're going to be working down one side of the chain and then down the other side. So if it's really tight, it makes it really hard for you to get into. So here we go, 60 chain. So I'm going to do these quite quick, so you might want to pause. So we've got 1, 2, 3, I shouldn't say quick because then I go wrong, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. if you are counting a lot of chains sometimes, it's worth doing so many and then putting like a little marker, and then you know it's in sets. So I know that's 30, for example. So if I was working in, if it was a really long chain, I'd every 30 I might put a marker. Then when I lose count, I know I've not got to go back too far. So here we go: 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. We just got 10 more: 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59 and 60. Yay! Right, so this is, as I say, we're going to be working along the chain. It's not a difficult pattern, it's a really easy one. It's just sometimes if your chain's a little bit tight, every now and again you will struggle to get in it. Now my first stitch, the second from the hook, is going to be double crochet. Yep, double crochet. We're going to miss 2, so 1, 2, and into number 3 I'm going to do 5 trebles. So yarn back round, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that's our first sort of scallop shape. We're going to miss 2, 1, 2, and into number 3 we're going to do a double crochet. I think you probably see how the pattern's going to form now. You're always missing 2, so 1, 2, into number 3. You've got it, 5 trebles. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and miss 2. Now sometimes, you know, because you've just done this one, you see how it pulls there, it makes it really tight and hard for you to see the next stitch. So sometimes just wiggle it about. There is a stitch there, and there is a stitch there, so my next one is there, double crochet. But yeah, it does pull the stitch tight and that's next to it, so sometimes it's a bit hard to see. We're missing 1, 2, and into number 3 with 5 trebles. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that became a half treble there. 3, 4 and 5. Why do I always speak too soon? Take that stitch out. Beauty of crocheting, take it out. We are going to miss 2, so 1, 2, and into number 3. This side is harder than the second side because by the time you get to the second side you've already sort of marked out where you're going, but this is more difficult because you've got to count. That's all. 1, 2, and sometimes you go, no, it's 2, 1, 2 and 3, and that's going to be 5 trebles. So we're just going to be repeating that all the way along. So you'll do 5 trebles, you will miss 2, you will do a double crochet, you will miss 2, you will do 5 trebles all the way along. What have I got there? 4. Really easy to count trebles, thankfully. So 1, 2, into 3, double crochet, miss 2, 1, 2, into 3, 5 trebles. That one. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Just give it a little pull every now and again so it keeps your chain in line. So we miss 2 and we do a double crochet. It's a little bit boring, this bit. I know scarves can be boring. I do love doing them because I sometimes like the tediousness of it. You know, it's just like you just can plod along, you don't really have to think much. There we go, 1, 2 and 5 half trebles. And this is only a tiny weeny scarf. Obviously I've made scarves which have literally got thousands of stitches in, but yeah, I like to sort of just sit there. It's one of those things you can sit and watch TV, can't you, and you don't have to concentrate quite as much. So 3, 4 and 5, Just pull a bit of yarn out there because it's starting to roll about a little bit now. And I'm going to miss my 2 and I'm going to do a double crochet. We're not far from the end now, and as I said, the second side works a lot quicker. 5 trebles. 3, 4 and 5. We have 1, 2. Oh, I nearly did a treble. It should be a double crochet, shouldn't it? Otherwise my scallop wouldn't shape. So I'm going to miss 2 and I'm going to do another scallop. We've only got a couple more to do. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We're going to miss 2. We're going to have a double crochet. We're going to miss 2. We're going to have 5. I was going to say, why was I going to say 5 half trebles? I've no idea. Trebles. We need trebles. If you did, you could do it with half trebles. You just get a thinner scarf, that's all. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, stay there, wool. It's determined to roll off. And again, I'm doing it for half treble. 5. We're going to miss 2. 1, 2. We're going to do a DC. Double crochet time. And then we're going to fit in. Can you see what's happened here? Now, somewhere along the line, I've probably counted 3, not 2. Or, because I'm pretty sure I did do 60 stitches. It's not the end of the world. I'm actually going to be naughty and I'm going to skip 1. Doesn't matter. Who's going to know? But you should have had enough stitches there to actually fit our last little set of 5 in. So that's 3, 4 and 5. And we're just going to do a slip stitch, double crochet should I say, in that last stitch. So that's down one side. So I'm going to do another double crochet in that same stitch because it sort of turns the corner a little bit. Now I need to tighten that up. Now you can see you have like quite a big hole now, and wherever that big hole is, you need to do, you've got it, 5 trebles. 1, 2, 3. So it's easier to go in now. 4 and 5. Yep, so you can see the shape you get. Wherever the small space is, it's going to be a double crochet. So let me just double check as I go along. Can you see? It's not very easy to see, but that is where you need your double crochet. Can you see that? Okay. And that is where you need your sets. We'll move along, I'll show you. So you might need to sort of wiggle it about. It's there. The double crochet one's the harder one to see, but the other one's nice and easy, so I've got to give that a sort of a wiggle. It is in there. Double crochet. Next one's easy peasy because there's a nice big hole there for you, and that is going to be our 5 trebles. 2, 3, 4 and 5. We need our DC. Let's see, you might need to wiggle that one about, but there it is. Next one is a nice big space, our 5 half treble. I'm doing it again. Why have I got half trebles on the brain? I've absolutely no idea, because I've not even been working in half trebles. Usually if you've been working in a type of stitch, you do have a tendency, but never mind. You know what I'm talking about. Well, I hope you do anyway. They are trebles. Ignore what I say. They are all trebles. Don't ignore that bit though. Double crochet. Nearly got a split there. There we are. And 5 trebles. 2, 3, 4 and 5. And we have a double crochet. Right, I'm just going to pause there. So basically that is what you're going to be doing all the way along. So you don't really need to see me do that. But again, wherever the 5 trebles have come out of, you need another set of 5. and in between you're going to have that double crochet. You can just see the stitch there. It is quite hard to see that one, and you will carry on until you get sort of the length like this. Now, as I said, I used a bead to actually finish that off. So if you've got a little button or a little bead, so I've just sewn it on there nice and tight, and I thought, well, I'm not quite sure how I wanted it. I wanted it so it was like sitting, so it wasn't fully the same length. If I did, I do with that one there, but you can manipulate that as you want. If I did it there, it would be equal. So you basically sit it round your doll. In fact, who should we bring back in? We'll bring Cindy back in. Well, Molly back in, as it was hers originally. So if I pop that round her neck, before I sew the button on, I think, oh, do I want it longer there? Do I want it tighter? So we've got two different lengths. I quite like it when it's two different lengths, because I know my scarf never sits straight. So I sort of like, if I put that there, for example, and that's where Molly had it originally, you get these two different lengths, but you can make it tighter or however you want it. So if I took that there, she's got it sort of shorter around the neck part. Fasten, there we go. So it's quite easy because of these holes. You can alter the shape and the size of the scarf depending on where you put that. If you wanted to, you could sort of make it more sort of snoody as well. So if we sort of wrapped round, you could sort of have a button there perhaps, you know, give it a little bit of a different style, or you could sort of pull that out like that. There's so many things you can do. You'll know yourself with your own scarf. It's roughly the same sort of idea, obviously, with the dolls. So you could make them longer, you can make them shorter, you can just change and manipulate the shapes. So that is it really for today. Nice quick make there. I hope to see some photos if some of you do them. Don't forget to tag me on, particularly Instagram. People seem to tag me on, or just you send me a message. Or unfortunately you can't put photos on YouTube, because I know somebody did say they wanted to send me a picture of what they'd done, and you can't put the photos on there. Well, not as far as I know. If I'm wrong there, let me know, but I can't see how you could do that, you know, in the comments. As far as I can see, you can't. Perhaps you can, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think you can anyway. But that's it for our Cindy today. We have this lovely little scarf set, which also, as I found out, makes a really cute slouch beanie for our Barbie as well. So we need a photo with both of the girls. So thank you very much for watching. If you do enjoy my videos, please like, subscribe and share. It means a whole lot to me, and I will see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.